So go find yourself, know your farmer, go find yourself a farmer in your local area that you can get your food from now, so that if the supply chain collapses on you, you have a source for food. Hey y'all, put on your boots, grab your headphones, and let's get a little muddy.
As we build a community rooted in the love of dirt roads, whether dust or mud.
Welcome to the Dust or Mud Podcast. Hey y'all, welcome to episode 9 of the Dust or Mud Podcast. We are certainly glad that you are here with us and look forward to sharing a whole bunch of new insights with you.
Woohoo!
I know.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so last week we really opened up a lot about our sheep operation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and made some adjustments, I think.
Lots of soul searching and discussions and research, and not just to make the podcast, but to
try to figure out how to make lamb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be a, I don't know, profitable business, I guess, that puts more good food in people's freezers.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we decided to continue to keep them pasture raised. We're not building barns.
Right.
We're going to supplement them with some added nutrition that our pastures are not providing them.
Yep.
And I think we're going to get some good results.
I do too.
Our non-GMO or GMO-free feed mill has a sheep ration.
Yeah.
So we contacted them, and they're going to be hooking us up with a sheep ration with locally sourced, as locally as they can, locally sourced grains and protein additives that will provide the sheep with what they need.
Yep.
So local, pasture-raised, non-GMO lamb.
That's right.
Coming to our freezers,
That's
y'all.
right. And then we talked about military recruiting crisis. And out of that conversation, you made a little, was it, 12-second short?
Yeah, it was really short. It was a short.
That you put up on YouTube. And it fairly quickly peaked over 5,000 views and really stirred up a lot of...
Wow. I think I, seriously threw something in the hornet's nest.
Yeah.
And it was a really short clip. You guys will have to go check it out, of just a portion of our conversation. And
it must have been a good enough portion.
I guess. Yeah. People really were commenting, but it wasn't, oh, yay, that's a really great idea that you have. That was not the reaction. No, there was a lot of folks really expressing their dissatisfaction
with the government overall. A lot of them. Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are very vehemently, it seems, dissatisfied.
Yeah,
with what's going on.
I went through and answered all the comments, or replied back to all the comments, to which some of the folks replied back, to which I replied back.
There was a lot. There was some significant dialogue.
Yeah.
More than I think any other of our shorts or videos, for that matter, has gotten. Yeah.
I owe a couple of replies still.
Yeah. Yeah. I just look at them and go, well, I'm gonna let you chime in on that one, because I don't know.
Anyway, it's great to have the engagement. I think it's really cool to learn what people think and what their thought processes are.
I can tell you, there's a lot of really not happy people with some of the current situations that are going on.
At least of the 5,500 that chose to view that short, there are definitely some that are unhappy.
I know. And vocal.
Yeah. Yeah, not afraid to express their
disdain for those in charge.
Unhappiness and dissatisfaction. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So that was really fun, and we look forward to more engagement and, I don't know, just having community on that platform.
Yeah.
So farm updates.
Yeah.
Yeah. This past week was a little busy.
We're busy this past week. Well, one of the things that we did was we delivered, I just referred to it as a starter flock, to some friends of ours as they're getting into the sheep business. It was 4 mature ewes and a ram, that a couple of 4-year-old ewes, a couple of 2-year-old ewes, and a registered ram that's going to I think, start them off really great into the sheep business.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was really exciting to put them over there on some really, seemed like pretty lush ground.
Yeah.
They're going to be very happy where they are now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no real competition for them on the amount of grazing that they can do.
No, right. Yeah, and so we also, our beef chickens, little babies that are in the brooder.
They're doing well.
Yeah. They've been here for a week already, and we have more inbounds.
Yeah, they're in the postal system right now. We should be picking
birds
them up
in the postal system, y'all.
Yeah.
With your letters to Grandma.
Yeah.
It's true.
Right.
When I go to the post office to get them, I can hear them way in the back. Chirp, 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 chirp.
Yeah.
Okay, you have some peepers here.
Yeah, we'll be picking them up this week. 50 more chicks. These are layer chicks.
Mm-hmm.
And we got them so that by springtime, when the spring market starts, we'll have more eggs.
Yes. Remember, we doubled down.
I do remember.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that.
Chicken math.
Chicken math.
Yes.
Yeah. If you think you're losing money, just
yeah, it's a real thing.
Double down.
Chicken math.
Yes, it is a real thing. It is. And yesterday we had the privilege of taking 5 pure Berkshire, some of the finest hogs, I think, in certainly this area, to the processor.
Yeah.
And delivering them.
Very excited.
Mm-hmm. Couple that were sold as wholes, and the rest of them will go in our freezers to be sold by the cut and by the pound. So I'm really excited to see.
It's going to be some amazing pork.
I'm very, very excited about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait, was one of those ours?
No.
Okay. Dang, man. Maybe the next round.
That's right.
Oh, okay. I gotta have me some of the rib jobs.
Right?
Yeah. And Betty.
Yeah. We've mentioned previously that we have 2 A2 Jersey cows that we milk, and one of them is named Happy, one of them is named Betty. And Betty, this past week, her appetite started going down, and she basically quit producing milk. One day she gave about a half gallon, and then the next day she gave less, and the next day she gave less. And then by about the third day, she didn't even want to come into the barn to have her breakfast. And
she was not feeling good at all.
Yeah.
And they can lose condition, which is their body weight. They can go from looking really plump and healthy to bag of bones.
Yeah, if you know Jersey cows at all, they don't miss a meal.
No, they don't.
Betty was a very voracious, even Jersey, so
yeah.
it was definitely abnormal for her to just say no to her breakfast meal.
Yeah.
And so we came in from milking that morning and called the vet, and the only appointment they had was a Saturday afternoon emergency call, which we said sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
And so the vet came out on Saturday afternoon. One of the things that he just mentioned to us was that as we were talking about how quickly she had lost condition, he said that, they can lose, upwards of 50 pounds in 36 hours. So they really lose condition fast. And she had a fever. And so that was one of the things that he said was, she's burning through whatever calories she has really quickly, and she's not eating. So it was leading to her not looking really good.
Mm-mm.
And so
she still doesn't.
No, but his diagnosis was that she has pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gave her some meds and left us with some meds that we gave her the next day. Within, 2 to 3 hours, she was eating.
Yeah.
And
eating
so
better.
that was great that because before she would just sort of like nibble at hay or grass or something, and it looked like Shell mentioned that maybe she had a problem with a tooth.
She really wasn't like
she just didn't want to eat. And within a couple of hours of getting some meds, she was back to eating like normal.
Yeah.
She still doesn't have an appetite like normal, so
I think her rumen is really out of whack.
Yeah, she's coming in for her snacks, but she's not devouring them like the rest of them.
She may need a beer.
No,
seriously. Because the yeast in it really helps activate the rumen again.
So we've taken her temperature a couple of times since, and her temperature is back to normal, which tells us that things are definitely doing better, and she is eating more, so that's better. And now we just need her to recover condition.
Yeah, we probably are done. She's probably done milk.
Yeah, she's currently not producing really anything. It was maybe a cup this morning. So she's really shutting down on the milk production side. Which
I just want her to be okay.
Yeah, we just need her healthy. The vet did confirm. Good news though was that Betty and Happy are both pregnant.
They are.
So that's great. Yeah.
We just need to keep her that way.
That's right. Due date should be somewhere in March. So our plan is to dry them off in the December-January timeframe to give them 6 to 9 weeks of being dried off before the calves are due. Most research I've done says at least 6 weeks. So as long as we get them dried off.
And that makes us not milking. We'll talk about this next week, but that puts us not milking in the wintertime because that's a little extra when it's 12 outside and we're out there milking cows. That wasn't really that fun.
Yeah. So that's a preview to next week, right?
I know. We're going to talk about some A2A2
magic.
Magic. It is magic. Yes. And that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
So the topic of today, we have independence on the farm and interdependence in the community. The balance of freedom on the farm and community ties.
That's right.
It's kind of a big title. Big topic.
Too much to be a title, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just topic.
Freedom.
Yeah. That
could be a title, right?
It could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, we wanted to
dial it in a little more descriptive.
Little more descriptive than that. Freedom's good.
Okay.
Okay, bye y'all.
Yeah.
Okay, embodying freedom from farming and such.
Yeah, so we've talked about last week when we mentioned this topic, I think we may have even used the word individualism. And as we started doing a little bit of research into it, we realized that that's really not what we're doing and not where we're going. As a philosophy,
I don't want to get into philosophical conversations.
I don't want to get into individualism.
No.
And so really, we chose not to go down that path with individualism, even though we may have mentioned it before. We're not going to go there. We're really because it's not where we were wanting to go. It's the word that we used, but not what we were trying to say.
It was not the meaning we were trying to. The message.
So as we're trying to dial it in, we really came down to freedom, and that's like independence.
Yeah.
And then as I really started going down the road of independence, like, making some talking points and really trying to hit home on independence, Shelley not interrupted me, but interjected that while true, that's not telling the real story,
right,
or the whole story.
Right. Yeah, because yes, we are independent, but as we are independent with one another and to ourselves, sure, it's the interdependence within the community that actually generates more freedom. So let's talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, so you're going to have to talk us through how we go from
independence.
Interdependence gives us more freedom.
Well, maybe we will. Maybe we'll get there. Sometimes you just say things.
I think we will get there.
You think so?
But I'm just laying it out there.
Yeah, let's try.
We got to go.
Okay, but first let's talk about you're retired from the military.
Yes.
And you are very accustomed to pretty much being told what to do.
Yeah, 25 years almost, just under 25 years. I showed up to officer training school in January of 97.
Yep.
And almost 25 years later was privileged to retire from the military. But what that meant was that for almost 25 years, I was told what to do. Even the times when I was a boss, I certainly had bosses.
Yeah.
And my bosses had bosses.
And those bosses have bosses.
And so it was, and in the military, unlike the civilian sector, the bosses have legal authority to tell you what to do. So it's not just show up to work on time. It's show up to work on time, or you can have legal ramifications
Right.
of not doing so.
Right.
So there's a level of you have to do what you're told.
Right.
It's not just, yeah, I have a boss, but it's you must. You have no other choice but to shave.
Yeah.
You have no other choice but to cut your hair. You have no other choice but to be able to wrap your belt around your midsection, right? I mean, like, it is, from a legal perspective, you have to do it. And so coming out of that.
Of which was a choice.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
Everybody knows what they're getting into when they sign up. They all know, hey, you signed up for it, man.
I did. Volunteered and loved it.
And would go back and do
Had
it.
an amazing career. Flying fighters is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, can't even describe it.
Yeah.
And would absolutely go back and do it again.
In a heartbeat.
But when that's over, there's a shock to the system, right? And we've talked about this a little bit in previous podcasts, but I don't want to cut my hair or shave or like,
anyone. He actually warned us, his immediate family. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. Like anybody. I don't even want to tell me what to do, really. So nobody tell me what to do. It was a while before that wasn't even a thing anymore. Yep. Like a year, 2 years. Don't tell me what to do. Just don't tell me what to do.
I thought that was good communication.
Yeah, I guess so. Kept everybody out of the warpath. Yeah.
So there's a when we talk freedom and independence, at least from my perspective, there's a definitely something to compare it to, right? Was that there was a definite voluntary lack of freedom in my not just job but life, because
that spilled over. I wasn't immune from it. Right. I lived where they told you to go. That's right. I lived in the house they gave us.
Yep.
I had a husband when I had one and didn't when the Air Force had him. So it all the way to the kids, like we all lived that same do what you're told. We could go on vacation when it was appropriate and approved and.
That's right.
We did our best to take vacations, take leave, do all that, free kind of stuff, but it was within the boundaries of what you're able to do.
Yeah.
So we got here.
Yeah. And when coming out of retirement, we went like a step further even than we could have, right? Like we could have stayed where we were and went straight into a job, DOD civilian, DOD support contractor, defense industry. Those were definitely options open for me as I was leaving. And we together didn't want that either, really. We were ready for actual, our perception at least, what we were thinking of as freedom.
Right.
We're ready to be independent and not be dependent on anyone, really, as far as that's concerned. Telling us what to do, where to be, where to go.
So now we farm and we tell ourselves what to do. We're motivated by outside forces.
Yeah.
They're all outside.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Those forces are outside.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you know anything about farming, you know that we tell ourselves what to do as long as there's not some emergency with an animal, which requires us, like Betty.
We work for them mostly.
We absolutely work for the animals.
Yeah.
But it's just different. The whole thing is different. It's some of it is being your own boss, and people who have businesses and own their own businesses would understand that from an entrepreneurship perspective. Like being your own boss is awesome. It's different, right? Than answering to a boss or a corporation or a board or whatever you're answering to. But then farming, I think, provides even an even more independent life or free life than than even just owning your own business. You know, like if you're in a storefront somewhere, say you own a shop, well, you probably have hours and they're posted and you have to be there at those times. And, you know, I mean,
Right.
like there's definitely some rigidity to a lot of businesses where farming really, I mean, we do have to care for the animals, but outside of that, like we do with our day what we want to do with our day.
Yeah. We fill it.
Always.
Yeah, it's very full.
Yeah.
We don't want to be bored.
No.
But so freedom-wise, tie your farm and your food into the freedom that it creates, even though we're anchored. The freedom that's generated through what we're doing comes from we're free from grocery store food. We're free from the dairy aisle currently, although we won't be, 365 days a year.
Right.
But it has alleviated some of that.
Yeah.
We're free from CAFO meat.
Yes.
We are free from, really.
A lot of the veg. I mean,
with the garden, a lot of the veg. Yeah, just providing for ourselves, generating an independent, free mentality from those other food sources.
Yeah, and this happened a couple of months ago. I think for me, I was sitting down and in one of the blogs, I was talking about independence, and it led me to dependence, and then to whom are you dependent? And searching like through in our life, currently at least, we're dependent on Amazon.
Yes.
We're dependent on UPS or FedEx or the Postal Service or whoever's delivering from Amazon. We're dependent on Walmart in town to get the essentials that we need on a day-to-day type basis.
We can't make and produce every single thing. We don't make Downy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
We do our laundry. We need coffee beans.
And so there are, although we talk about independence, I do that with knowledge that yes, we are dependent on some things.
White River Valley Electric Co-op.
Yes.
To light these lights.
Dependent currently.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know especially some folks around here, they don't want to be dependent on the electric company, and they've gotten themselves set up with awesome solar farms, and they're being able to live without being dependent on them.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a nod to your own inner discussion of to whom am I dependent? McDonald's?
Nope.
Right. But I think some folks are.
Yeah.
Right. And so just an acknowledgement of to whom we are dependent is what I was sort of nodding to there. That while we are saying we are independent, I understand that there are definitely dependencies. But from an overarching perspective is where I think we're coming from to say that we love the independence of this lifestyle, of the farming lifestyle.
Yep. Okay. I like that. Definitely. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at my show notes here, trying to follow. You just hit that point. So, on the to whom are you dependent? Impact, and how are we impacted, and how do we impact the community through our farm?
Yeah.
Well, we make quality products. We're trying to make the cleanest, best that we can with the resources that we have, proteins for ourselves, friends, family, and local community. And seeing that meat or eggs or dairy go into their refrigerators and freezers, that's a huge impact.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the mission.
Yeah, it feels really cool too.
Yeah, it does.
Especially to have the feedback that we receive on a frequent basis that it is good.
Yeah.
And it's not, well, I'm back to buy some bacon. Like that's not the feedback that we get. So positive reinforcement obviously is a good feedback tool, and we appreciate the positive reinforcement and are receiving it, which is really neat.
Yeah, it is.
Especially
Very
coming
encouraging.
from where, like, we didn't grow up farming and providing food to folks, so this is all a new thing for us.
Yeah.
You know, we have worked for someone our entire lives, and so the idea that we're doing it and then providing it to someone is really cool
And scary.
But yeah.
It is. It's so scary, y'all. So we make all this food and we get it processed, or we process it ourselves, or we do whatever, and then it goes into people's houses and they eat it and they serve it to their family. And like, we like to cook for people and we like to have, get-togethers and things like that. But to say I grew this and then I got it labeled and everything and I put a price on it and I sold it to you as a good thing, and then to hope they like it.
Yeah.
It's risky.
Yeah.
It's really putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Taking a risk.
Yeah, it is. And I don't think, although I don't think we've sold anything that we didn't try first.
Oh no, we always try it first. Yeah, we did all that whole batch of chickens to make sure they were gonna, be okay.
Good. That's right.
Yeah, or the pork or beef. When we bring a beef in, cook some beef up and let's make sure that it tastes good. If it's not, we just bought a lot of beef and we're just gonna put it in the freezer and we'll eat it ourselves.
And we'll eat it.
Yeah, but we do taste test everything and make sure that everything is up to par that we want it to be.
Yeah.
To be able to proudly sell it, not just sell it.
Yeah. And in offering it, we're offering the local community with the opportunity to have their own freedom from industrial CAFO, hormone injected, the standard industrial way of growing and providing meats and proteins and such. We're providing that opportunity that they can not have to do that, right? They have an option.
So the people that we sold sheep to, we were sitting down visiting with them, and then we were having a discussion, and they asked, when are you going to have bacon again? And we're like, like in a week. We took some pigs and we're going to have bacon in a week. And they were like, good, because I don't know what that is with all that watery stuff in the store bacon. It's water. It's
they were
like
saying I cooked bacon and there was white water.
White water. And we're like, I don't know what that is. And I haven't cooked that store bacon in a while, but I remember back, I'm like, oh yeah, it does do that. Like white water thing. And I'm like, I don't know. So I had to look it up. Why has my bacon got white water in it? And there was answers because,
because it's actually a thing.
Mr. Google Pants knows things, and because it's an actual thing. And it's because they bulk it, basically inject it, soak it, whatever, with brines and other injectables. And that's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Right.
I don't want boiled bacon.
Yeah.
I want my bacon fried.
Right.
That's still usable whenever I'm done.
Yeah.
So anyway, providing something good.
Yeah.
Versus bulked up, watery bacon.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it at a price point that people can afford.
Yeah.
That's another important piece.
Yeah.
It's a really premium product, and we know that. And we know that in certain places you could charge X amount for this. Yep, we know that too. But we think that good food should be normal. How do you normalize a good product?
Yeah, it's really hard because we may go way deep into this in the future, but there's an expectation that food is cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an unrealistic expectation. Food is not inherently cheap.
No, it's not.
It is if it is cheap, it is subsidized somewhere.
Yeah, you're paying for it.
Somehow. It's either
through taxes.
Yeah.
The government. Anyway, that's another rabbit hole. Let's don't go down that one.
We can follow that rabbit later. But food isn't cheap.
Right.
And so to normalize quality food is difficult because of the expectation that food is cheap. And so we have a few folks that are willing to give it a try, to say, okay, I understand that I can buy this a little bit cheaper somewhere else,
Yeah.
but I'm going to try what you're offering because you say it's quality.
And it might be worth it.
And so for the most part, everybody who's been willing to give us feedback has said, yes,
Yeah,
it is worth it.
It's
actually.
worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And local community, the support that we get, what you were just talking about, the feedback, them showing up every week, coming to get a little more for their freezers, trying a different product, trying one and go, I'm going to try this, and then maybe I'll come back and try that. And they do that, and that fuels us. That support, physically, mentally, emotionally. I didn't want to go to the farmer's market last week. Like, I didn't want to go. I'm like, it's hooting and hollering down in Gainesville. There's things going on everywhere else. It's going to be a slow market. I'm telling you, let's just stay home. Let's take 1 week off. Now, y'all, the market's going to end at the end of October, and then we can stay home all the Saturdays until April. But I just didn't want to go. And he was like, people are expecting us to be there.
That's right.
Like, we have to go.
Yeah.
So we went. And there was nobody for like an hour and a half. And I'm just like, okay, so here, drink my coffee. We'll chat, figure out the problems of our life. And lo and behold, though, 9:30, 10 o'clock rolls around, and that's when the floodgates kind of open up. And we had a great market day, and the people that he knew would be expecting us to be there, they were there, and that would have been really disappointing for them. And so that keeps us going.
Yeah.
Their expectation of us and wanting what we have keeps us showing up. And it's hugely encouraging.
Yeah, it is.
Because we get tired.
Yeah. And it's even encouraging. You've been throwing out to folks, hey, we know that the market is going to end soon.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we have to stop providing you with quality products.
Yeah.
We could just deliver it to you. We could set up a meat date, a meat time on a standard day, Saturday mornings, whatever. And all of our regular customers that you mentioned that to all said, that's a great idea. I'm very interested. Here's my contact information.
Right. Yeah.
As soon as you get your information, as soon as you get your poop in a group about what you want to do, let me know, because I'm definitely interested in that. And again, that's just that positive feedback, that positive reinforcement that tells us, okay.
Yeah.
Doing okay.
Doing all right. All right. Yeah. And so, in case people don't know, we are a farm to fork operation. We get the animals, we raise the animals, we breed the animals, we make the animals, and then we take that animal all the way through processing. We get that thing into the freezer, and then we take it from there and we sell it to people so they can put in their freezer and get it onto their dinner table. So very, very few middlemen, like us and our meat processor.
Yeah. That's right.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's our team.
Except for poultry, and then it's just us.
Oh, yeah. Poultry's just us. We get the little baby chicks. So the people who made the chicks.
Yep.
We get that. And then from that little baby chicken all the way to processed and in the freezer, that's us.
Yeah.
So it can't get any more local.
That's right.
And getting that onto people's dinner tables in some kind of what feels like normal.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, and have people stop by and say, I need a birthday meal for my husband.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
This
is going to be our anniversome meal tonight.
Yeah, this is our anniversary meal. Or I really want to throw some brats on the grill for supper. It's just, it's really, really neat. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
To be in people's lives at their dinner.
Yeah.
You're a part of that.
Yeah, which is neat.
That is neat.
Our culture has a lot wrapped up in meals and dinner time and being together,
Yeah.
I know society is going away from that in the family, but you still have dinner meetings and,
right.
There's definitely something there.
Yeah.
To
coming together around food.
Commune around food.
Yes.
Yeah.
So economically, it kind of take that, we're getting some income through that. And then us helping grow our local economy through supporting local businesses, such as
our feed mill.
Oh yeah.
For example, We buy, I don't know,
A lot.
it's got, I would say we probably average 4 tons a month
Is
of
it really?
feed.
Feed math.
Yeah, somewhere close. It's between 3 and 4 tons a month.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So you multiply that out, you're looking, 35, 40 at least tons of feed a year. So, I mean, I know for us, it feels like we're a small farm operation. We're raising 10 pigs, but impact on the community for another small business like our local feed mill that we buy our GMO-free feed from, another small business, us being able to support them is helpful.
Helping provide more local jobs, keeping the money in house. In this community. Keeping the revenue here. Rather than Purina.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't need any more of our dollars.
Just like the people that buy from us at the farmers market, the money is staying here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's going into our account, which then goes into Beaver Creek's.
Well, that's how economics works. Right? We just pass the dollars around.
It is staying local.
They keep it local.
And then Bryson buys local grains, as you've already said.
Yeah.
So the dollar is making its way around this community and not getting shipped immediately to a corporate headquarters somewhere.
And that's what's going to be key, I think, as we talk about economics probably in the future, and as the economics of the country kind of get more and more strained, keeping our dollars local and trying to keep them out of the corporate headquarters, which supports imports from other places. If we can keep it local, keep it right here, and keep our dollars circulating here, we get to keep them.
Yeah.
Because once they exit, we all know they're gone.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry to go off on that tangent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and so we're also building a relationship with our local health food store owners.
Yeah.
And potentially going to be able to put some of our lamb, that's why we have so many lambs out there. So we may be able to put some in their storefront. That'd be good.
Yeah. We're trying.
We'll see.
In talks at least.
So with having a community and around our local community around this farm, another one of the things that it does for us is we have less reliance on the very, very fragile supply chain.
Yeah. So
was it Rebecca said?
Yeah. Rebecca, our oldest daughter, works for Walmart, and they get 2 semi-trucks a day. And at least in her mind, within about 2 days, the shelves would be empty if they weren't restocked as quickly as they are stocked.
48 hours.
Yeah, 48 hours. So especially on the high use items or high demand items. So, and we've all seen this in 2020. As the supply chains started getting strained, as trucks weren't driving, the shelves quickly emptied, and folks were standing in front of empty shelves. And it's the folks that experienced it. I know some people, at least, it was scary.
Yeah.
To know that I am dependent on this store for the food that's going to keep me alive, and the shelf is empty.
Yeah. Another thing local community can sometimes provide is, I have a skill, or you have a skill, or an item, and in case a lot of y'all didn't know, bartering is still very alive and well in at least this part of the country. Hey, I've got a thing. If I come and help you with your project, could I borrow your whatever? Yeah.
Yep.
And so that's a big bonus.
Yeah. Yep, it sure is.
And we talked about the dollar staying in the local economy already, so we can just move on past that.
Yeah.
Collaborating with other local farmers. Yeah, it's been a big deal for us.
Yeah, one of the best probably is Ozarks Heritage Farm. they've become friends and mentors. That's where we get our premium pure Berkshire piglets, and they're an amazing asset and are surprisingly generous with their knowledge.
Yeah.
It might seem, based on the way people think about businesses, that we would be in competition with each other, and really we're not. We're new. They've been doing this longer than we have, and they've offered everything they possibly can to us to help us get going in this, especially the pork, and as well as the pastured poultry, because he did pastured poultry for years, and so they've offered us all kinds of assistance and knowledge and just
advice, farmers market advice.
Yeah.
Suggestions.
Really cool.
Not just to help us get going, but to help us and cheer for us and want us to succeed.
Yeah. And when they do not do GMO-free on their farm, and so when they have folks that want that, they send them our way.
Yeah.
They had folks that asked them about guardian dogs. They send them our way. So like it's really neat. And I think this is leading us to what you were talking about, the interdependence, and how that could lead to more independence.
Freedom.
Freedom, yeah.
The interdependence in local community, providing you more freedom from the big out there.
Yeah.
If I have other options, I don't have to seek out a large corporation to solve the problem.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Cool.
Freeing you.
Yeah.
From the big guys.
Yeah. And another one is the family from which we bought our beef herd and a portion at least of our sheep flock. And they have been amazingly generous with their time and mentorship. And we simple questions like, hey, how much is hay worth? You know, I mean, like just those things that may seem silly, but they haven't treated us that way. They've been very generous. And
again,
by the way,
us to be successful.
The answer was hay is worth whatever you paid for it.
Whatever you paid for it, yeah. Whenever you're feeding it like we feed it, whenever you're unrolling it like we unroll it, and using it, whatever you pay for it
to help regenerate your pastures. Sure.
Yeah. Our neighbors, the symbiotic relationship that we have around here, really cool. Of all of us, like, look, if I have a single use item, let's just say a post pounder that attaches to your PTO on your tractor or whatever. I have that. The neighbor right next to me doesn't need to own that too and go spend their capital on another post pounder. I have a post pounder.
Yeah.
Use this one.
Yeah.
You go buy something else and maybe I could use it. Yeah. And then we all have more tools at our fingertips to be able to use.
We've been offered sawmills, post pounders, post augers, trailers, welders, cutting torches. Like,
you name it.
So many different things we've been offered. And again, that interdependence is allowing us independence because we don't have to spend our capital buying all of those things.
Exactly.
You know, we might need to weld a gate post, but then we might not use a welder again for a year.
I need a $3,000 welder for one gate post.
Yeah.
Right.
Same thing with a post pounder. We may need to pound in, even a whole day's worth of posts, but then we probably wouldn't use it again for 2 years.
Yeah.
And so that interdependence.
And it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Right.
That interdependence is awesome. Yeah, we've loaned our trailer, we've loaned our stuff, we have a wood chipper, and just that idea that as a community you are definitely stronger, and each individual then in that community has the independence that they can do other things and not have to rely on themselves to do buy every little thing, which I think is cool.
It is very, yeah. For sure.
Yeah, we had storms come in
Oh,
and
yeah.
blew down a bunch of trees, but two of them in particular. One was the biggest tree on the farm, and it was big, and
It was huge.
it went through two of our fences.
Yes, it did.
And then there was another quite large tree that went through one of our fences. Another tree was blocking the driveway to the RV. And we had friends, community friends, that said, "Hey, we're showing up to help. Get rid of these trees to get them out of your way so you can do your business. What day works best for you?" And we picked a day, and they showed up, and man, was that amazing. And then we didn't quite finish up, and so they said, "And we're coming back next weekend too."
Yeah.
And so that kind of support is really cool.
Yeah. Because it sounds like it's just a tree, but it's a huge tree. And you know how to cut a tree down, do a chainsaw. Two people doing all of that would have been really, really hard.
Yeah.
But our friend, he's from Wisconsin, and this was not his first tree, y'all.
He cut up more as a kid growing up than I did in South Florida.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah. And so with his knowledge and his know-how and willingness, we were able to get a job done in an afternoon that would have taken us days.
Yeah.
And risk, because it was so big.
Yeah.
And he knew exactly where to cut it and what to do and all that. And the interdependence again, bringing freedom.
Yep.
Because we needed that lane.
Yeah.
To be able to move the cows from where they were to the next place, and we weren't using that lane until that tree was moved.
Mm-hmm.
So that freed up that part of the farm for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So future vision going forward, as far as continuing to build community and the interdependence. What do you see? Where are we headed?
Well, a lot of these are your ideas, and I think they're great ones. But we do farm tours on a fairly regular basis. I would say we have folks come out and visit. I don't know. We're probably averaging once a month or so, maybe a little more than that. And we love that. And
yeah, we do.
People, I think, come away with a different kind of respect for the whole operation, for what we're doing, and how big it is.
Yeah.
How many different things it is, and one of the most commonly heard comments is, "Wow, you guys have worked really fast. You have done a lot in a little amount of time."
Yeah.
And there's just a realization that happens when you see it, that wow, you did
this in 2 years.
Yeah, this is a pretty big deal, a pretty big operation. And so I think with that, just to say that the farm tours are helpful, they're beneficial so that people can understand actually what it is that we're doing. And then for your idea is, maybe we'll do some kind of an appreciation dinner a couple of times a year or something.
I want to do a farm to table. Have our, I don't know, some of our really longer time customers, or even new ones for sure, and have a meal where it's come from here and we cook it and host them at our house, at our farm, however that turns out. That can always be a really fun time.
Right. Yeah, that
our
would be
appreciation
really cool
to them.
Yeah.
And summer camps, maybe. We'll see. I know, right? Well, educating the young people in what we're doing locally education is vital to making anything like this normalized.
Yeah, you're right.
If the only thing they know is chicken nuggets, then that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They're going to do chicken nuggets.
Yep.
But bringing the young kids, and I don't mean like 7-year-olds. I mean, how about a young teen?
Yeah.
How about a 12, 13, 14-year-old? Let's go do some farming. Let's go see where, our groceries really come from.
Yeah.
And maybe doing some kind of farm days like that in the future.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe.
It's just an idea. Nobody hold me to it. Don't you said me.
Right. And we've talked about internship programs even, and folks have recommended it to us, and we've looked into it, and maybe an internship is a long-term commitment, and I think often takes, at least at the beginning, takes more effort than it relieves.
Yeah.
And so right now for us, that would be a strain to take on an actual intern.
Yeah.
So while a good idea, and we're not saying no, we've said probably not right now, but maybe in the future.
Yeah, maybe. That's it. Just maybe.
Okay.
Oh, so continuing to encourage community involvement, getting ourselves out there, getting them here, doing the back and forth, is going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
The independence and the interdependence away from the government subsidized industrial food sources. Okay, folks. So in case you didn't know, there is a website out there called eatwild.com, and Eat Wild is a list of, I'm guessing on hundreds.
At least hundreds.
Yeah, it's at least hundreds of listed local farms or farms that you can find in your local area, hopefully providing some of the types of things that we grow. There are standards that they have.
That's right.
In order to be able to even post your stuff on there. We're on there. But check that website out and see if there might be a local farmer in your area doing something similar to what we're doing so that you can support them and y'all can get this same kind of symbiotic relationship going so that whenever the supply chain goes down again, you have a local farmer, a place to get your food, even if the grocery stores are empty, because I can tell you right now, if the grocery stores went empty tomorrow, our customers that we have, we will take care of them first. And I know that there's going to be a shortage of food, but I only have a minimum, a finite amount. And so my customers, our friends, our family, and the customers that we consider our families, we're going to take care of those guys. So go find yourself, know your farmer, go find yourself a farmer in your local area that you can get your food from now so that if the supply chain collapses on you, you have a source for food. And I could just get right up on a stump about that.
Yeah. eWild has a great website.
They do.
They have a map function, so you don't, like, you can click on your state and start looking around your area. And it was, maybe it shouldn't have been, but it was surprising to me how many farms they have on their website.
Yeah, it's a lot.
There's a lot of farms. And so I would venture to say you will most likely find a farm that's
somewhere close
you,
enough that you
that's
can
listed on Eat Wild, which means that they're doing things at least similarly to the way we do things.
Yeah.
So really cool website.
It is. Okay.
And we'll put that in the show notes.
Yes. We'll put that in the show notes. It's our new thing. Got to put these things in the show notes.
Yes.
What you got?
Topic of the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're closed on that. Topic of the day. It was such a resounding hit last week when we talked about the military recruiting crisis that I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to talk about the military again.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, are you ready?
I am.
The GAO released a report.
What's the GAO?
The Government Accountability Office, I think that's what it stands for.
Okay.
They released a report September 2023 on military barracks.
Okay.
And their headline is, Poor Living Conditions Undermine Quality of Life and Readiness. Why the DoD or why the GAO did this study. DoD houses hundreds of thousands of service members in military barracks. Reports of poor conditions have raised questions about DoD's management of barracks. What GAO found? GAO found weaknesses in the Department of Defense's efforts to maintain and improve their conditions. For example, DoD does not reliably assess conditions, and some barracks are substandard. DoD assessments of conditions are unreliable. GAO observed barracks that pose potentially serious health and safety risks, such as broken windows and inoperable fire systems, and that do not meet minimum DoD standards for privacy and configuration. Thousands of service members live in barracks below standards, according to officials. DoD does not have complete funding information to make informed decisions. For example, DoD requested about $15 billion for overall facility sustainment for fiscal year 24, but could not identify how much of this total would be spent toward barracks. On that note, I did a little bit of research, and they did in 24 request $15 billion. It's called Facility Sustainment, Restoration, and Management. FSRM is the category in which that request happened. They requested $15 billion for 24. However, as of 2020, so 4 years ago, there was a backlog of $137 billion that hadn't been done already. So they requested they can cover just over 10% of their backlog with this year's request. Okay. DoD conducts insufficient oversight. They do not track information on the condition of barracks or facilitate collaboration on initiatives to improve them. So, by developing or clarifying guidance related to these weaknesses, DoD could better prioritize investments in barracks to improve living conditions for service members and help ensure that barracks housing programs across military services are consistently implemented and support quality of life and readiness. So that's a little excerpt from their highlight page. Full report and highlight page will be in the show notes. So
the people that we're trying to get to recruit.
Are you saying that living in substandard conditions for your first assignment might impact
whether or not I take a
recruiting
job
as well?
Yeah, it might. You think the word gets out that once you're in, you go through your basic training or your basic training.
Yeah, in officer training school, I showed up to my first night in the military. I was in a condemned barracks.
Yeah.
And they moved us out of the condemned barracks about halfway through.
Well, if I remember right, the house we moved into, the glorious house that we moved into in South Korea on an army base, it was condemned before we moved into it.
U.S. Army Garrison Yongsan.
It sure was.
Now
that base is now...
Housing was built in the 1950s.
Closed.
53, I believe. And,
that was from 1953.
Yep. And our particular townhouse was condemned before they uncondemned it so that we could move in.
This is true. Yes.
And we did have sewage that backed up into the kitchen.
That's why it was condemned.
That's right.
To begin with.
Well,
and we did have that happen.
They painted over the mold on the walls.
Oh, that's right.
So that took care of the mold problem. They did not take care of the sewage that backed up into the kitchen floor. I'm kidding about the paint taking care of the mold, but that was the solution.
That was some of the billions they used.
No, yeah, actually, it was. Yeah,
I mean, a can of paint.
Yeah, so
okay,
it is a real concern, and it's something that I know that we have experienced in our military career also, and it's hard. I get it. When you have a limited amount of money and you have to decide whether you're going to build the facilities that operate your new weapons program, whatever that happens to be. We're building and fielding a new nuclear missile, say, and
but that's
you
not
have
in
to
facilities.
You have to build facilities to command and control.
Okay, but they also build these mega gyms in places too.
There have been mega gyms built in places. Yes, while we were in South Korea.
There
was a mega gym built.
It seems like you would rather want your housing better than your mega gym.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with what the color of money is, what kind of money it is that Congress approves, and there's all kinds of, terribly boring rules and regulations about how the how the money can be spent, but there are different pots, and that's why I made the point that this, the 15 billion was FSRM, facility sustainment, restoration, and modernization. So it's a facility that's already been built, and so the amount of money that you can use then to sustain that is that pot of money,
And they're just not using it.
they are using it. There are so many that are in substandard condition that, like I mentioned, they're barely 10% of the backlog of the facility sustainment, restoration, and modernization that needs to be done.
But if you can't fix it, give them somewhere else to live.
You can't afford that either, right? So, it's a limited supply of money, and it's. I understand that there are choices that have to be made with that money, but and ultimately Congress decides where the money is going to be used.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, if you start to exceed 75% of the cost of making a new building to restore the building, it's a whole different set of approvals to even start restoring the building. And then in order to build a new building, that's a different kind of money and years of approval processes and
Red tape,
design
bureaucracy.
and red tape, bureaucracy, years worth in order to build a new building. And so it's definitely a difficult problem, not an excuse, just the reality. It is a difficult problem with the way our laws are set up on what money can be spent for what and how many years you have to spend it and what approval is needed in order to spend it. Like some of the facility restoration stuff requires Secretary of the Services approval. And having worked in the Pentagon and even being there trying to get something in front of the Secretary is crazy difficult. And so the idea that your facility restoration management project in Podunk Base, wherever, is going to make it all the way through the staff to in front of the Secretary it's difficult. So the red tape is definitely, I think, part of the issue.
So the soldiers, airmen, sailors, all the enlisted troops that are out there, they have a choice as to where they want to live?
They don't. No. So each service is a little bit different. But if you are what the regulations call unaccompanied, meaning that you're not married, then you must live in unaccompanied barracks.
Married or with kids.
Right.
If you've got kids, you're accompanied.
Yeah. Okay. So you live in the barracks, in the dorms, in unaccompanied housing, whatever they happen to call it at the time. And those are not privatized. So a lot of I think I was reading in 1996, I believe, is when they really started, or when they passed the laws from Congress to start privatizing the military family housing. And so that side of housing is largely privatized at this point. But the barracks are not. The barracks are service responsibility. So that's why this one steps outside of housing writ large. And this is your new, the biggest factor is your new enlisted folks that are forced to live in the barracks. And the Air Force is one of the more lax on the requirements to live in the barracks. And it's an E1 through E3, and then an E4 in some places, depending on how long that you've been in the service. So some of the other services, like I believe the Army was E1 through E5.
Yeah, sergeant living in the...
If you're overseas, I think it bumps up even to E6.
Wow.
So
people go to really very far lengths to avoid living in the dorms.
I do know that it happened at least occasionally while we were stationed at RAF Lakenheath, that there were definitely folks that were getting married
as a business
out of
deal,
convenience, or out of a business deal to get out of the dorms. So they were not crazy. They were not like committed to each other in a relationship perspective, but they did get married to get out of the dorms. Now, I'm sure that's against the UCMJ and all of the things that
I'm sure there's so many
already,
rules and regulations.
But it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. So there are definitely folks have come up with ways to get around it, because sometimes, at least, barracks life is substandard. And the GAO, I mean, some of the pictures, of course, they find the terrible things.
Well,
And,
there
you know,
shouldn't be
it's,
any terrible things, quite frankly.
you know, large bathroom stalls with waste covering the floor and walls covered with mold. And, you know, so that they were able to find quite a bit of
So
issues.
one of the more concerning things that you said was that they are not tracking their funding.
That, yeah, the GAO said that. That one.
That's a little surprising for me. Like,
So,
they're not
Yeah.
tracking their funding. That was a track.
It does not have complete funding information to make informed decisions. So they could not identify how much of the $15 billion they requested would be spent toward barracks. So a lot of that. Look, I've been a part of these types of studies before, and a lot of times it goes to some lower-ranking member of the staff that treats it without a whole lot of concern and answers the question like, I don't know, and sends it back. Right? I'm not bothering my general about this particular study.
They will now.
And so it ends up getting published then as, we don't know. I'm not saying that's the case, but I am saying that I have seen that type of thing happen. So it really depends on how high up this went. And it doesn't surprise me a whole lot to know that they've requested $15 billion. There's a $137 billion backlog for FSRM. How much of that $15 billion are you going to use to restoring your barracks?
Right.
Well, I don't know. That's 1/10 of the backlog.
Yeah.
You know, like we haven't even touched what we're doing this year.
But do something.
Not saying that they're not doing something. It's just saying they weren't able to answer before fiscal year 24 even how much of it would be used.
Okay, so this is kind of seems like it would have a really broad impact on the whole system, the whole recruiting problem, and that's to do something. Yeah. Look, we're making these improvements. Look, we're fixing our stuff.
Yeah, and I think there has been some of that. If you start doing some research, you'll see that different services have, you know, this many $1 million in fiscal year whatever spent towards, you know, barracks restoration and such. So like there is some of that going on. I think the GAO's point is it's not enough. We have soldiers, we have folks, enlisted folks that are forced to live in conditions that are substandard to DOD's own standards, right? Like
they set they set the standards.
Yeah. And so the fact that, as I talked about before, when you're told to do something in the military, there's legal ramifications to not doing so, right? So like they must live in these places, and the places provided that they must live in are in some cases substandard. Yeah. And the GAO is saying that shouldn't be the case. You, DOD, should fix it, or at least be able to track the money that you're spending in order to fix it.
So where does this go? They keep monitoring the situation?
Yeah, there were 31 recommendations from the GAO. The DOD accepted 23 of the recommendations. The others they partially accepted. GAO replied that they believed they should have accepted all 31.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't have made it. Okay.
So it'll be something to look at. It'll be something to track. It's obviously important, especially. I mean, these guys and gals, they really do need our support, and they really are living in substandard conditions. So this would be one that if you
want to keep them.
Yeah, but I'm just saying for listeners out there, if you want to help on this one, your congressman, your senator, they're the ones that approve the money.
That's true.
All they have to do is write a little note in the appropriations or authorization bill that says this will be spent on barracks restoration. Especially, I mean, they could write it on this barracks.
Well, there are a lot of them will do that. They will take very good care because it's very important to them. The bases within their states, their home constituents. They try to take care of those local areas.
Yeah, and the GAO, they only looked at 10 installations.
Well, I can tell you somebody probably didn't look at.
They didn't look at any of the ones we've been stationed
No.
at. So they looked at 10. They looked at some that we've been to but never stationed at. They
Yeah.
looked at 10 bases. Anyway,
Anyway.
you can talk to your congressman, write him a
Please
letter,
do.
write him an email, give him
Yeah.
a phone call, and let him know that this is important to you because the folks that are subjected to these substandard living conditions are important to you. And so if it's important to the congressman, having dealt very much with the congressmen and the staffers that are writing the bills and the authorizations and appropriations bills, I can tell you that they can make a change. They absolutely can. It is not difficult at all to write in a little thing.
Mm-hmm.
Happens all the time.
Make it happen.
Yeah. All right.
All right, cool. Well, next week, what are we at? Episode 10. We are going to dive into our A2A2 Jersey milk cows.
Yeah.
And the magic.
Magic of A2A2. Why do we care? Why do we
Raw
keep saying
milk.
A2A2? Who cares about raw milk? Who cares about what
We didn't.
What even is A2A2? And why would you say that it's magic?
We didn't.
We're gonna look at a lot of these things and hopefully reveal some cool information about what we consider the magic of raw A2A2
Yeah,
milk.
definitely. Okay, well, thank you guys for listening again. Please continue to share your thoughts, your comments with us, and I'll be sure to make sure he engages back with you.
That's right.
Hey, did you comment? Did you comment back to that dude?
Yeah.
And, as you guys are out there going about your lives, just remember, look for your local farmers, become a part of your local community in that way. And as always, thanks for listening. And until next week, bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.